Well, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Kind of funny, eh? 9 o'clock in the morning here in Auckland and 9 o'clock at night over in most of Europe. This is the new time. If you're just tuning in again for the first time, we've moved it back an hour. And yesterday we had a chat with Triana. They're really romping along. I don't know whether they know they're actually second in IRC, but they know they're performing pretty well against other boats, and they've got some targets. So they're just driving hard, and even Jean knows. That they're pushing the boat hard. And I just keep thinking all the time, I hope it holds together. Still only halfway around the world. So that's pretty cool. I also spoke with Outlaw, and they really shocked me on one of the things that Campbell was saying, because he's quite serious. They have a gas supply issue, and for whatever reason, they are seriously considering pulling into Hobart to get more gas. And my immediate thoughts are, maybe they don't have enough ready eat food, like ready access food that you can just eat. I call it wet food. They've got a lot of freeze dried and so on, but you can't eat dry freeze dried. But then again, you can make water, so that's kind of strange. So I have no idea, but it was you can listen to the conversation on SoundCloud, and he's quite serious. And they will know that if they call into Hobart to do that, they will be out of the rankings for leg 2, which affects their overall standing, and they've been performing very well. So it's a case of watch this space. Campbell said they'll make a decision in the next day, and they're going to come close to the bottom of Tassie anyway, and then they'll see. But to me, it's like, huh? What's going on? I can't quite fathom that. The other one was, there's a bit of a conversation going on at the moment about Duick. Someone on there's a discussion group, Ocean Globe Race discussion group on Facebook, where they sort of repost stories out of the OGR, and they talk about it. It's quite cool. But someone put one up from Marine Traffic showing a squiggly bob for Duick, saying, "Oh, what's going on? They must be whatever, because it shows them altering course and doing this, that, and the other, and so on." And then Lutz has been taking some calls and people concerned about what's happening with Duick, blah blah blah. And the reality is that, as far as we're concerned, officially for OGR, nothing's happened at all. They have every opportunity to ring us if something happens. They've got 2 satellite phones. They've got YB texting messages. They've got EPIRBs, all that sort of stuff. The weather's benign. They're going through some islands in Bass Strait. And what people may not realise is sometimes AIS signal can be distorted. I'm not sure whether that signal is coming from a coast station or whether it's coming from the satellite-based system, all those sorts of things. And when you zoom right in, it's even worse. You're coming up to minutes and of things, so you can never quite believe everything you're going to say there. Now, I'm not saying for an instant that they didn't actually start doing some loops and so on, but if there was any concern at all, they know that it's incumbent on them to let us know as soon as that happens. And nothing happened there. We had another false alarm last night for a PLB activation on Neptune. It's the second false alarm for a PLB. Unfortunately, the process worked really well again. The Neptune rang me on the emergency line and said, "Hey, look, Don, we've had another PLB inadvertent activation." So we noted that. We then got off the blower and immediately called Rescue Coordination Centre in Canberra in Australia, because that was the first that would have received that. And they had indeed received that signal about 7 or 8 minutes before. And they were in the process of getting ready to call us, but we called them first. So they were grateful for that. And we cancelled the alert immediately. And by the time I hung up from that, I took a call from Grisnez in France, which is the senior rescue coordination centre in France. They have a couple. And we're all registered with them. And because it was a French vessel, in fact, all of the PLBs and so on for OGR are actually registered with Grisnez. They have all the hex codes of all the PLBs and so on. They rang us to mention the alert, and I told them that we had just got off the phone. So with Australia, and they were very happy to hear that. So the system worked, which was good, and we're always grateful for the fast action of the rescue coordination centres. So they would have both been on to us within 10 minutes of the PLB going off. So that's cool. And then the other funny one yesterday, which you can hear about on the SoundCloud, when Maiden called in, there was some concern. In fact, we'd taken a couple of messages for the last 2 days. Any news on the LP? And LP means low pressure, and we had no news on a low pressure, so because there was no low pressures around. And when we got the call, they were asking about a cyclone, which I've been watching just out of interest, because every time there's cyclones up there in the Pacific, I watch, because we lived in Tonga for some time, and it's cyclone season, and you just know what the locals are going through. But this is a cyclone which is thousands of miles away, and I'll show you on the tracker in a minute. And it has no bearing on anyone in the fleet at the moment. And if you'd been watching the tracker, you would have heard me mention a few times about the Tasman at this time of the year, that anything can happen. It's quite challenging. And I mentioned, I think only 2 days ago, that you can even get cyclones coming down from the top, and they bounce through the Tasman. They come right across the top of New Zealand, which will change the wind directions. And you might even be an advantageous move to go through Cook Strait. That's the gap between the North Island of New Zealand and the South Island, to get on the other side, because you might have more favourable wind direction and things like that. So anyway, so we are watching it. They were concerned, and I said, no, look, at the moment the track is sending it down to Sydney at worst, as far south of Sydney, not over to the New Zealand side, and certainly that's about 12, 13 days out. No, it's about the 13th of December, so it's too far to call anyway. So he said, look, we're not telling you anything about that cyclone, because there's other issues there. It affects the overall position of the high in the Tasman, which becomes competitive information as well. So if we were suggesting that, but for now it's too far out, so we're not worried about it. Anyway, let's get on to the tracker and see what's happening here. If I put that and then I go that, you get me in the bottom again, so you can see what I'm up to. And I'll get on the tracker here. So all very interesting. Duick up in Bass Strait, pretty light winds, but they're still moving quite well, and Translated's doing their normal thing. The fleet here bunched together, looking really good. White Shadow off on another tangent. They're not holding to the run line, but they're obviously very comfortable and going quite well. So we'll start with the back end of the fleet. Here's Explorer running last right now, and Sterner, both in nice conditions. So Explorer currently got a little bit more breeze than Sterner, maybe, doing 8.3 knots and about 200-mile day. They probably hooked up on that current. Sterner doing 6.5 knots, 168-mile day. So Explorer's taken on a bit there against them, and we'll just see how they fared with that current stream. Explorer got a little bit of a kick there. So did Sterner, very similar. So, and now they're just trundling along. So that's the end of the currents there. And if we look at the, what do we got here? Waves will all be simple. But if we now just look at what's going to happen in the next couple of days, it should all be pretty much plain sailing. There's a bit of breeze coming up behind them. And this is tomorrow afternoon, so but it's nothing forecast over 30 knots. It's only 30, 31 or something, and gusting probably 40. So they'll know that's coming. They'll watch their barometer. Then there's going to be a hole, quieten down a bit, and then we've got a solid program of not south. Well, it's a west southwesterly, and plenty of breeze in it. They'll be up here somewhere there, but I'm still only seeing 30, 31 knots max forecast wind. So no weather alerts planned, and it's pretty organised. By organised, I mean typically Southern Ocean. Northwesterly here, followed by a southwesterly front. And if we look at the cloud there, we can see whether it's going to come in with a bang. No, it's not too bad. It's pretty soft. It's like a gentle bend rather than a sudden edge to it. So they'll know exactly what's going on with that and be quite comfortable. So a few more days of relatively traditional Southern Ocean sailing for Sterner and Explorer. Coming back here now, we've got White Shadow, 8.5 knots, and you can see here, this is what I'm talking about. They're obviously staying comfortable with the breeze, taking down here, straight there, and now they're coming up again. So they know what they're doing. I can't quite work that out, but they're doing quite well, 167 nautical mile day, and making progress towards New Zealand. This mid group, they're all pretty much holding together. You know, it was good to talk to Rihanna. They're really pushing hard. I think they can sense that there's an opportunity for them here, and they haven't slowed down at all. They've had weather that keeps them moving, and they're talking to the others on the radio, so they know they're probably closing the gap. In fact, let's just have a look here. After all these miles, you know, sort of 5,000 miles across the paddock, only 260 miles behind Maiden. That's not too bad. And then 350 miles behind Spirit of Helsinki, and Helsinki's a Swan 651, powerful, fast, amazing sort of stuff. 5,000 miles later, and they're only a few hundred miles behind. It's only a day or so. So I think they know that they're doing pretty well, and they're trying to hang on to that. Having said that, so are the others. I mean, the distance bit from Triana, for instance, to Galliana, 130 miles, which is nothing, really, when you think about that as well. It's fair enough, Galliana's a Swan 55 and Triana's a Swan 53, so there's only a couple of feet in it, but they're different ages. You know, the designs of the boats go hugely different. So anyway, all very interesting stuff. Neptune having a good time, except for their PLB inadvertent activation, which apparently was on a life jacket, and they said it got water on it or damp, and they dried it out and they got it stopped straight away and so on. But I must admit, we didn't do a full investigation of the previous one when we were in Cape Town. Everyone was a bit busy, but we'll certainly look at what's going on with those two activations on Neptune. It's unusual. I'll see if it's the same brand, and I'll see if they're set up with auto activation or whether it was just activated while it's from moisture. You know, we don't know, but we're going to look into that now because there's two on the one boat, which is very unusual. So anyway, yeah, 9 knots, 197 mile day for Neptune. I'll pick this up a bit just so we can see what's happening here. Outlaw, thinking about gas, which is pretty amazing. 8.5 knots, 193 mile day. Galliana, 211 mile day, so they picked up a bit on everyone, and 8.4 knots, so all holding their own. L'Esprit de Keep, 190 mile day, so there's a difference there. Boats moving around, but not a lot, but they're all holding together. 9.3 knots, and Triana, their daily run was at 199 and 8.4 knots. They're holding fifth in line on us, but second in IRC, first in adventure class. So all very cool. Now we just to get a perspective here on the three boats. Okay, so Duick up the top, 2.4 knots. They're obviously running out of puff there, but it's a transition because it's about to come in from behind. Prior to this, it was coming from the front, and now it's going to. They're pretty much home hosed. They'll get moving again. But their miles for the day was 114, so they didn't do too well going through there, but not too bad either. They kept going. They just missed a big blind spot close to the coast. That was fair enough. And I'm surprised then to see Spirit of Helsinki in so close. There's no, in my opinion, there was no reason for them to come in really close because sometimes you get big wind shadows here, but they're still sailing fast. 7.5 knots, 211 mile day. But yeah, I would have thought they'd just hang around and just continue a smooth track. But anyway, Maiden, 6.8 knots and 188 mile day. Quite cool. And translated now, it's starting to run out of breeze a little bit, or they're about to. 8.3 knots and 150 nautical mile day. So it's already the light breezes there has already given some effect. Now I'm going to go back, so we've got a bigger perspective here to look at what's happening with the weather, and then I'll come and do a close up on Duick in a minute, just so we can have a good look there. But you can see translated immediately falling into a little less wind, sort of like a big wind shadow from the island, if you could say that. Spirit of Helsinki, in fact, I'll pick up this. They're going to lose a bit. They're coming into a shadow, and it goes along quite a way. So that's pretty cool. You can see here, Duick, that breeze has swung. The reason they slowed down because it's gone from ahead to the back, and now it's just going to push them, spew them straight out into the Tasman. So they'll be happy to see that, and you'll see them now, get on the move again quite seriously. But Helsinki might slow down. Maiden's fine. They're going to have a good breeze, and translated might slow down a little bit as well. So I'm trying to pick the best position here to juggle this through. So this is all in the next few hours, 6 or 8 hours. Then translated, plenty of breeze to hook up. Spirit of Helsinki, that didn't last long, that calm bit. Plenty, everyone's got breeze. Okay, so this is now coming through till midnight and coming into the next day. So we're coming 24 hours out. And you can see here, Duick, I think by the look of it, they certainly won't go up to the northeast. They'll hold this line, I think, and you'll see that they've got enough breeze to keep sailing. Helsinki and the others, plenty of breeze to keep sailing, also for translated. So that's within 24 hours. And then we keep going here. Penjuic's got enough breeze if they go directly to the east. Helsinki's okay. They've got a breeze across there. Everyone's got breeze. And translated, if they, one of the keys here is what I was saying before, because you're looking at usually this time of the year highs here, you really generally as a routing plan, you want to come up, not close to the coast, but you want to come up in this direction and around. You don't want to go through the middle, because if you get the wrong side of a high, it's a problem. Penjuic will be reaching across this high. Unfortunately, the high is not going down southeast. It seems to be going to the east or even the northeast. There it goes there. It's holding. Plenty of breeze there for everyone. So maybe a few holes there for translated. So generally it's okay. Ooh, that's looking pretty solid. This is the first time I've seen this one pop up. So this is on the 8th, and it's now the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 3. So about 500 miles, I think, for translated here. Let's just see where 500 is. Yep, they might just be through that. So we'll have a look at that today and see what's going on, because that looks quite solid there. Once you see the blues, that's forecast wind of 30, over 35. It's going into 40s, probably gusting 50. And I've been watching that. That wasn't there yesterday. So there's something coming together, probably driven by this lot here. I'm not sure. Not sure what's causing that, but that's plenty. Just to show you, so generally, yeah, everyone's got breeze, and maybe translated is going to impact with this, and we'll see where the others get. Penjuic will be above it, and that'll be fine, reaching across, so not too bad. So here comes this cyclone. I've been watching that for about well, it doesn't exist at the moment in actual fact. I'll show you here. Or it wasn't, you know, I saw it on the projections, but it's happening very quickly. See, it doesn't exist right now. But as you get your forecast, you can see they're projecting it. Here it comes. Here comes the cyclone. Very distinct, very clear. It'll have a name by then. It hasn't got a name at the moment because it doesn't technically exist. But their forecasting for cyclones is usually pretty good. Although that's suggesting now it's gone inland and broken up. Okay, whereas yesterday it was suggesting it was going to work down the coast and come as far as, by the time we got to the 13th, which was as far as the forecast went, it was sitting here just off Sydney. So Maiden was sort of concerned about this thing up here, and I said, look, don't worry about it. It's not going to have any effect. It's only going to Sydney, and it's too far away to even think about. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'll just quickly come back for questions here, see what anyone's got. Okay, Little Goose, hi. Vancouver Island, Kathleen, g'day. Mississippi, morning from Brisbane. You're getting the cyclone, watch out. Captain Joey, Fort Lauderdale. Thanks for the compliments. Morning from Auckland. Ooh, Christine, you're here, that's right. Nigel, thanks for the update. No worries. Tasman sounds like some sort of game show gauntlet. It is. Well, it's normal. It's just the Southern Ocean, as much as it's challenging, you know, that you've got a constant clear run. There's no interaction with the land, you know, it's just big and simple, just dealing with weather. But when you get into the Tasman, you've got all sorts of issues coming out of the Pacific, it's off the Australian coast, all these different things. So, you're still looking at me small. I hope you're hearing me. If I hit that one, we should be back up. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, it makes it tactically a lot of fun, though. It's quite interesting. Strange to run out of gas for Outlaw. Normally last year, they think they got shortchanged. They thought they sent the bottles away to get filled, and they think that they were not completely filled. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm still gobsmacked, honestly, that they would think about doing that. You know, giving up on the race just for the sake of gas, unless they've got an issue with the type of food they've got to eat. So, and even then, you know, you can still eat cold freeze-dried food if you put cold water in it. give it a shake, you let it reconstitute longer, you can actually do that. I've done that in the past. And they, as they said, they've had to hot wire an electric jug, and they've got the generator so they can boil water. So who knows? But watch this space; it's quite interesting. Anyway, to keep Don, any way to keep the day-by-day page up to date with the latest SoundClouds? They're already there, but we only get we took 4 SoundClouds last night, I think it is, and Jane's just putting them up now. I think they've gone up, Jane? No, she's just working on other stuff, but some of them will be up shortly. So we put them up usually within about 8 hours of when we get them, because there's so much going on and the timelines are different and so on. The last few weeks, there were 3 to 5 days before the latest SAT calls were listed. Not quite, because some of the people don't ring in. Okay, so there wouldn't be 5 days, but sometimes they miss it. We took one yesterday from Triana, which was late. They should have rung before. They didn't. Same with Maiden. They had troubles trying to get to us last week, I think. So they rang in this week. So there's those sorts of issues as well. But generally, once we get a SoundCloud, it's usually up within that day of what's going on. Evening from Ireland. Good evening. SoundCloud calls. When will the new SoundCloud? Well, that's happening today. Happening right now. Jane's sort of just doing some other stuff. We had some meetings here yesterday, and we've got more opportunities to do some branding. So she's organising all of that, and I've got to rush down to the office. We're getting the office keys today. Meeting starts in 10 minutes, and I'll be down there when I'm finished here. So yeah, there's a lot of different things going on. So Maiden close to overtaking Duick for line on his place. Yeah, it could be. It's going to get very interesting. Feel sorry for Duick though. No need to feel sorry for anyone in the fleet. It's all luck of the draw and skill and everything. So I don't think Maiden themselves would want anyone to feel sorry for them. But I know what you're saying at the same time. When you got your favourites, you're sort of like, oh, bugger. But that's yacht racing, and it's part of the adventure and part of the challenge. So, okay, that's it. For me, I'll see you again tomorrow, and it's going to get interesting in the next 10 days. I think, I reckon it's going to be 8 to 10 days before the first boat comes in. So we'll see you again soon. See you later. Thank you.